Hello, everybody. This is Azariah Terrell, and I want to welcome you to the Chaplain's Table. Today's episode is probably going to be a little bit of a heavy one. There's a lot of things happening in the world, and I felt called to do this episode. So I want to welcome you in. Come on in. Come on in. I like to say, come on in and step into my office. Before we move forward or before we say anything else, I just would like to take a moment of pause for those families who have suffered a loss in of the service members in Afghanistan. Let's just pause for a moment and think about those families. Thank you. Today, I want to talk to you about so much happening in the world, right? Years ago, American psychologist Rolla May, in his book titled Man's Search for Himself, stated that we are becoming a collection of mirrors, only reflecting what everyone else expects of us. I want to say that again. We are becoming a collection of mirrors, only reflecting what everyone else expects of us, end quote. That quote there in that book really, really stuck out to me. We're living in a time today where we are big on social media, and social media has, part of it at least, has a part of a thing that causes us to give this certain image of who it is we want people to think we are, or who it is we want people, or who we want to accept us. And we become, as Rolla May stated, a collection of mirrors only reflecting what everyone else expects of us. Who is it that people think you are versus who you really are? When you walk out your house every day, what is the mask that is being put on? When you walk into your job, when you walk into your school, when you get around friends, who is it and what is it? What does that mask look like that you're putting on? And what I've discovered, especially talking to people one-on-one, and I'm talking to you today too, is that many people today are suffering in silence. That suffering is the very cause of us trying to manipulate people into believing that we're okay when sometimes we're really not. And the silence piece is when we are in a state of contentment or stuck on the inside, but on the outside, it really feels and looks like you're moving forward and everything is okay. But there is a sense of real suffering that is happening on the inside. And I really want to speak to you today about that on this episode, because we are a community. That's what we are. I recall a time in my own life growing up trying to figure out who in the world is Azariah Terrell. Who am I? I would, let's say specifically in school, I played sports, and, I would tell myself that, one day I'm going to be like so-and-so. And I then realized subconsciously I always wanted to be like someone else because I could not understand or did not know my own identity. And that is the truth about a lot of us. Now, I'm not saying, we wake up knowing exactly who it is we want to be and what it is we want to do, and that's okay. That's why it's called life. It's a journey. But the truth is, many of us today, we are so caught up in someone else's life, trying to ignore or neglect who we are becoming or who we feel like we should become because we don't know. And there's this sense of suffering that brings about in all of us maybe a sense of loneliness. Now, I'm not talking about a physical loneliness because on the outside we can be surrounded by many people, but I'm talking about that inner loneliness. That inner loneliness that no one else understands. No one else has ever seen or heard of before. You may have shared it with maybe one or two people, your best friend, or maybe you had a parent. I don't know. But that inner loneliness, that conversation that you have with yourself when no one else is around, that conversation that you have with God or whatever deity you may worship, or if you don't at all, it don't matter. But I'm just talking about whatever conversation you're having within yourself. And sometimes you feel as though there is an inner loneliness about you. But everyone else can't see that and everyone else doesn't know that. Because if you're like me, you don't wear your problems on your sleeves. If you're like me, you don't want to go and live in nobody's pity party. But there is something, even in today's time, and I know you can feel this, that is happening in each and every one of us, where we are constantly have to re-identify who it is we are purpose or meant to be. With so much going on in the world, we like to post things on the media to make it seem like, oh, my life is just dope. My life is just perfect. But when the cameras cut off and when the pictures stop snapping, who are we really? And the great Howard Thurman, the great mystic theologian, said, who are we really? And what is it that we really want? Really want? What are we after? Why are we waking up every day? What is our destiny? What is your destiny? This suffering and silence has weighed so heavy on my heart because not too long ago, I was speaking to a gentleman who told me that he had spent 20 years, 20 years dealing with drug addiction. And of course, family had written him off, and friends who he maybe once had written him off because he admitted he was too much to deal with. He would have written himself off. He understood those people who say, I can't be around us. We've tried to help you. And so I asked him, I said, what do you believe led you to wanting to, or getting on drugs? And he was like, in his case, he's like, my life, it was just tough for me. There were certain situations that I endured and I just couldn't understand how to get through it. So I turned to doing drugs. And in our conversation, he was like, I'm still in this journey. I've been clean and sober for 3 or 4 years now, but I'm still in this journey of trying to identify who it is I really am. He was like, he told me, I do understand on one point that I'm going to go around and I'm talking to people and I want to help people. And I'm going to just give every nugget I can on how to get people off of drugs and tell them my story about my drug addiction. But talking about, he's still identifying every single day this journey of who he is and who he is becoming. But he would tell me, he was like, Chaplain, the truth is I was suffering and no one knew it. I had a nice job. I had a nice car. I had a nice home. All the things that I should check the boxes on the outside, but on the inside, I was suffering from an inner loneliness. A loneliness that sometimes myself I could not understand. A loneliness that I would try to get rid of by surrounding myself with plenty of people. But I couldn't shake it. And then he went on to talk about a spiritual foundation. And what that made me think about is that when you have a sense of the inner loneliness, it also brings about now, number two, what? A spiritual depression. A spiritual depression is when you feel that your creator, when you feel that your purpose in life is non existent. You have now alienated yourself from the very thing that you once thought or felt you were connected to. I speak to people time and time again who may go to church, who may go to a synagogue, who may go to a temple, but really on the inside still feel as though they have no connection to a higher power. I know, I know, it can be shocking. And the truth is, I felt that way before myself. I was going through the routine every single Sunday, going to church, singing, and I felt like I really had to take a step back and ask myself, what in the world am I doing? I would leave sometime. I have a whole service and I'm leaving with a headache. Because the truth is, a lot of our religions, it's like we really spend more time trying to keep up with all these man-made rules than actually trying to really build a true connection to a higher divine power. And so what we must really do is take a step back, take a pause, take a moment in our lives and just figure out what it is we are after, what it is I am seeking, what it is I am trying to live for. What I found in my own calling is doing just what I'm doing now. I know that I'm a spiritual messenger, not here to push any religious dogma on anyone, but I am here to help people unlock the truth that is within themselves. It saddens me to my core, all the people that I come in contact with who really cannot be themselves, because we all are. We're born into this rat race, trying to keep up with the next door neighbor, trying to keep up with how much money we can get, trying to keep up with what next position we can or promotion we can get. We're just trying to keep up so much and we lose ourselves in this race. And it has caused many people their lives. People become suicidal because we're trying to keep up. And that's in religion, that's in business, that's in our schools, that's in everything we do, because our society, and we can see it today if you watch the news, and I tell people don't watch too much news because you will find yourself depressed. I don't know, I've become very saddened about a lot of the things I see. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good out there. But this is just talking about for those people. This message is for those people who just feel like, I don't know what is going on. I don't know what the heck is happening in my life. I don't know what is happening within me. I don't know why I'm feeling depressed. I don't know why I'm feeling sad. I don't know why I'm waking up and I feel unmotivated to do anything else. I want you to know that you're not alone in all of this. You have a community of people, even within the chaplain's table. That's what this is. This is a community. And I would love for you to comment. I would love for you to share. And I want you to just talk to each other under the comments about how we can build each other. There's too many people we're breaking each other down because we don't fit in the mold, or we might not understand somebody else. We might not understand their story. So what do? We put up a wall and defense mechanism, and then we end up judging them and pointing our fingers at them. But we have to be very careful about that, because the very person you are condemning, the very person who you're trying to say I'm going to treat you in such an inhumane way, can be thinking about suicide. We have to do a better job as human beings, being there for each other. We have to do a better job. And no, everybody's not going to do that. Everybody's not going to play nice. I get it. There are some mean people. There are some wicked people. That's just what it's going to be. But this is now where it comes to protecting yourself with some type of foundation, some type of spiritual wall, if I can say. I'm a big meditator. I'm a big person who likes to read and get different perspectives of life and see, okay, what works for that person, because it might can help me, or, and then people look at me and say, well, what works for you? It might can help them. I like to share ideas. But this suffering in silence is causing too many people their lives because they feel like there's nothing else to live for. You may feel like you don't know which way to turn. You turn on the news and there's stuff going on overseas, stuff going on in country, out of country. There's so much happening. And now in our world, it's just like with religion, with politics, it's always like you have to choose A or B. And the minute you think C or 8.1, 8.2, in between, you are chastised and you're put out because you think outside of the box. I'm talking to you because you might not fit the very description that people say you should fit. I always have this theory of, when we're in high school, the very goal of high school is graduating. And you get all these happy parents on graduation day, this 17-year-old, this 18-year-old, oh, my baby, they're graduating, they're graduating, they're graduating. And then it seems like immediately after that, well, what you going to do now? What you going to do with your life? And I'm like, the pressure that takes? For 1 minute, you're telling me all I need to do is graduate. And then the next minute, you're telling me, well, what you going to do? And then all of a sudden, if I don't fit your description, if I don't get a job fast enough, then you try to say, oh, well, you're not doing enough. Oh, you should be better than that. And we don't give our children, and I don't think the human race, we don't give each other enough time to develop. I'm 31 years old and I'm still coming into who I am, into my truth. Being very comfortable in speaking and not worried about what others say. I remember when I first started giving public speaking or sermons or whatever, I was trying to sound like other people. Because where I was raised, you had to start with you want to start with your message, you want to build up, and then you want to hoop. You want to give everybody this big show. And I know and everybody is going to be, you got to do all that stuff, right? That's where I come from. I come from a Pentecostal background. Until one day I realized, man, I get a headache trying to do that stuff. Now, I'm not saying I can't do it. I'm not saying, if you come from that background, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the spirit can hit. But sometimes what I found, after all of that, was still going home damaged because we never really dealt with the core issues. I have challenged leaders as well to be transparent about the struggles. That's really what a community should be. It should be about us coming together and sharing some of our flaws and things that we have that we're struggling with and figure out how we can learn from each other. This suffering in silence has caused too many people their lives. And at the very essence of who we are, whether you want to believe this or not, I am a true believer that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And every time we try to separate ourselves from our spiritual self, we get lost in the sauce, thrown in the mud, and cannot be found unless we do the work to try to dig ourselves out of this. I don't really know who this is for. I didn't have no planned script for this show. Nor do I ever, but I don't know. I just really felt like this needs to be said. I don't know. I feel like you have been searching for answers, searching for a way out, trying to talk yourself out of the slumps, trying to talk yourself out of the depression you may feel. Well, I'm speaking to you, letting you know that find your foundation. And when I talk about finding your foundation, I am talking about your spiritual foundation. That's part of the show, is about spiritual health. I'm a big believer in mental health, but also spiritual health. That spiritual health is so important in our lives. Finding out, who am I really? What am I doing? I'm not talking about trying to be the next super Instagram star or Snapchat star, Facebook. That stuff drives us crazy. A lot of times we worship these people, but don't really understand the story and why they have these breakdowns sometimes. You see all these celebrities sometimes have breakdowns. They're so gifted. A lot of them are so talented. And then some, you'd be like, how in the world? But that's neither here nor there. But just understanding the power we have within us, that we've been given at birth, that spiritual health is so important. I just want you to take the time to really think about what it is you're after, what are you seeking. And if you don't know, find yourself a place where you can go and meditate. Get yourself some type of spiritual foundation, or, see a therapist. Just talk with somebody, a professional who can help you get through certain things. And don't alienate yourself. And you don't have to keep running from that in which you are, or who you really are. You have the strength to do this. And of course, I like to make myself available. I always give my shameless plug, any way that I can help you. If you want to reach out to me, I always say visit me on, you can visit me on social media at Azariah Terrell, AZARIAHTERRELL, or visit my website, www.chaplainazariah.com. And all this will be down in I'll share it below on the YouTube channel and in the links, things like that. But I don't know. I don't know who this is for, but I really want you to know that you're not alone. It may feel like it. It may feel like no one cares. It may feel like you can't go on any longer. You can. And I know you have something to offer. You might not be happy with your situation, but guess what? As long as there's breath in your body, there's always hope, and you can make it better. People go do second careers all the time. People do different things all the time. There's someone out there who needs to hear your story. And that's another thing. If you have a story to share, I would love to hear from you. I would love to talk to you. Because when we share our stories, you never know. You might think that it's not important enough. You might think that, oh, well, nobody want to hear about me because I'm not famous. Please. Your story matters, and it can help change somebody's life. And even in telling your story, it can transform and give you the strength and hope to identify with who you are and move forward as you're releasing that. Sometimes we hold so much stuff in and we don't even have to. So, the suffering in silence. If that's you, I just want you to know that you really matter. And again, please reach out. Reach out to somebody. I might ask where this is coming from. I mean, past week I've talked to some people and heard some things that really disturbed me, and it just makes me realize that, man, we can look like one thing, not realize, but just remember, it can look like one thing, but we're still dealing with so much. So many people are suffering in silence. And I just want you to know that we don't have to do that. We can come together and we can work together to help each other, to build each other. And like I said, everybody won't do that. That's fine. That's good. Some people process different. You don't, and I say you don't have to always do it in a group of people. Get you somebody to do it one-on-one. But I just want you to know again that you matter. And if you are having suicidal thoughts, please reach out. Please reach out. I'll share the suicide hotline as well. The number will be below. And if you need to talk through this more and you're trying to figure things out, please feel free to reach out to me or reach out to somebody, wherever you at in the world. your local therapist, your local psychologist, chaplain. And most people, again, I say this, a chaplain is someone who listens to all people, who hears all people. Listens to all, hear all, and we accommodate all. No matter what our religious or spiritual background is, that is our role. So I think that's enough for today. I always want to thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Please share. This is, to me, a serious message that needs to be put out there. But you're always welcome here at the Chaplain's Table. This is a community, and I'm rooting for you. I don't know who it's for. I'm rooting for you. All right, y'all. Until next time, stay safe, stay positive, and as always, thank you for watching and joining the Chaplain's Table.